good evening, and good evening. Yes, this is yours truly, Dr. Luvuyo Bayeni, your host for Dr. V Talks. And indeed, welcome to yet another exciting episode where we continue to bring you insightful, educational, but also empowering conversations that deal with not only health issues, but also the well-being comprehensively of each and every viewer. And of course, we still enjoy and look forward to you spreading the word by inviting everyone to come and join, to share the videos. And yes, this is brought to you, of course, with our partnership as we have our simulcast broadcasting with Sowetan Live. And welcome to the show and welcome to the show. Of course, it's an exciting day because equally so, I know most of you are saying, please, Luvuyo, get me ready to go and watch Bafana Bafana at 9 o'clock. All of us, we are there. We are supporting Bafana Bafana. We are here as Dr. V Talks. We are still looking forward to celebrating yet. After 3 hours at midnight, before we sleep, we will be celebrating the victory of Bafana Bafana. So, yes, it's an exciting day. Thank you very much for joining. And we're not going to waste time because we've got a lot that we want to share. Let's also maybe take this opportunity to remind and acknowledge and applaud Eastern Cape Liquor Board. As you might recall, last week we hosted the CEO who took us through and explained and shared with us the role that they are playing, especially when it comes to campaigning against underage drinking. They even shared with us that there is a phrase they are using that alcohol can wait, their future matters. So I know today that they hosted, as she had promised, their 21-kilometer race, which is a campaign that they are doing against underage drinking. She also did share with us that it is equally linked to commemorating the Enyobeni tragedy, where there were about 21 young lives that were lost as a result of that tragedy. So we want to also congratulate those who participated, but importantly, congratulate Eastern Cape Liquor Board for the initiative and the successful hosting thereof. So as we continue to empower, this is a youth month, and this is the last Sunday of the month. Actually, time flies. The youth month is finished now. Yes. Yeah, no, time flies. So yes, we said we wanted to empower, we wanted to look at issues that relate not only just health, but to us as well as equip young people for the month. So today we are closing off our theme for the month, which was focusing on the youth, and we were also acknowledging and commemorating the International Day Against Substance and Drug Abuse. So today we are closing and finalizing the month in that regard. I have brought you a very special guest because sometimes you always feel honored when someone would be referred by someone that you also work with very closely, and the excitement, the enthusiasm, and the humility to accept to be part of the show, always something that I appreciate truly. And this is what happened with Lunga, because he is in the space of life coach. He is a product of the NLP. Those of you that have been following Dr. B Talks, you would also know that we do have our resident guest in terms of Thabiso Mailula, who happens to be also a coach, a life coach, as well as someone who is running classes on NLP. So when Lunga was referred, of course, in the Bayani Talks family, we are family, and we do know that people in the family Lunga always know that what is it that we are trying to do and achieve with the platform. And when they recommend, we know that it is indeed meant to enhance the platform. So, and I was so happy and so humbled, Lunga, when you were comfortable to have the conversation with Thabiso about Dr. B Talks, one, but also to see a space and a role that you can play in enhancing Dr. B Talks. So with those words, I'm actually being grateful and want to welcome you to Dr. B Talks, which is a platform that is here to educate and empower. And thank you so much, and thank you so much for agreeing and availing yourself to be part of the show. So welcome to Dr. B Talks. And I also am going to put you on a spot. This is the only time I'm putting you on a spot, don't worry. The rest of it is just going to be a nice conversation where I would like you to introduce yourself to our viewers, just to share who Lunga is, what space you're active in. I know the part that I know of being a very grounded family man, who is just into being there and being a present father, enjoying fatherhood, but also is always making every effort to try and improve someone else's life and better others. So that one I can keep for myself. But I would like you to introduce yourself and welcome to the show once more.
Thank you, Dr. B, and good evening to the followers and listeners of your great show. I love the part when you talk about enhancing. So I'm glad that Tabiso reached out to me and said it'd be great if I could come in. So it's an honor to be here. Thank you. There's nothing more than what you've shared about me. Those are the most key things about me that um I put forward, I guess, because I think Umuntu Vela is built up of many different things. So being a father is one of the biggest things for me. An NLP practitioner also came at a backdrop of me overcoming substance abuse. So I've got a bit of that, and I've had the greatest experience walking because I saw your poster talking about prevention and treatment. How do we get better as people? So I got better by doing NLP. So who am I? I'm a man who's just searching for answers like everyone else and trying to figure out things. And yeah, but maybe another thing. I was born in Durban. I grew up in Limpopo, so I'm a South African, proud South African, and excited for tonight too. Savashai can very nice.
All right. No, thank you very much. I think you might have been shy or trying to just brush it through, and that part of who you are or your background is also going to help us get into the conversation that we are about today. You
Okay.
you 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 acknowledged and you embrace, for a lack of a better word, that you have been through substance abuse journey, and I think um, for me it helps us to start the conversation to say we are here to empower, we are here to caution, but importantly we want to capacitate people. And the issue that we'll be talking into, obviously, as we said, there is an International Day Against Substance Abuse. So we need to get to that. So without necessarily taking you much into your memory lane, but share with us, how did you get to the point of now being comfortable to make it part of introducing who you are, as well as maybe how it did it get to the point where it was no longer just now saying I'm like any other dude that is just socially enjoying or embracing or engaging in substance. Others would say no, it's just I'm a casual drinker, or I use the substance just once in a while. It's just that hype or whatever. So how did it get for you, or what had happened in your journey for you to get to the level where you were like, yo, now I am in a ditch, or I am really going in a wrong path, let me look for help and let me seek help, and to be the person who's bold to talk about it in terms of when you introduce yourself now.
Well, yo, that's a very loaded question. It's look. I think the best thing for me, I take it now. I take it from a professional point of view. I know that war stories or what one has gone through really does set the ground. So I'll touch on it, but I won't dwell on it because I don't think that one's troubles or moments where you kind of gone through is something that you need to focus your mind on. But it's important to have it as reference of where you're coming from and where you're going to. So, in short, it all started like everyone else, I think, having a drink or having a smoke of marijuana or whatever, and different things in an environment, either at a party or at a club or something like that, where it's a social drug, it's a social experience, experiment, or mushrooms or whatever. Teenagers these days get involved in different types of things. excuse me. So one can ask themselves, what could it be? Is it an escape? But at that point in time, it's nothing more than just fun. It may be
mm,
misguided, it may be whatever it may be, but at the crux of it is just literally just teenagers wanting to have fun and be reckless a bit or be on the edge, um, not knowing that things that come into your body they can change you chemically.
mm,
They can uh, um, unlock certain things that were not going to be unlocked because you've taken that substance. So the more I studied, the more I got into NLP, the more I got into substance abuse and so on, the more I understood my own mind, my own body and spirit, and how these things can attach. And the simple thing of addiction. What is addiction? And how can we now surpass that? Because it becomes hard. To answer your question even more directly, when I introduce myself, also is part of my healing, it's part of my journey, whereas I know it's a form of identification and support structures were around me and so on. So as I got into NLP, I wanted to just empower myself, but also find a way to help others. And that's, many years ago, I started cycling across the country to try and reach others.
mm,
So for my sake. So now it's more of um, how do I do it now is using NLP and also trying to work a lot with halfway houses, care facilities for people who are going through substance abuse. The most important, like not the most important, interesting thing is that alcoholism or addiction is a disease, is an illness, but it's not seen
mm,
as such in our country, and thus is not treated as such. It's more seen as a lack of willpower or a lack of something, or to umuntu can't stop drinking or smoking or being in a specific or continuing a specific behavior that is now become harmful to them but have the inability to stop.
mm,
That's me paraphrasing what addiction is. um my kids are the one that also inspired me to kind of take this battle or fight, I guess.
mm,
But
mm,
for me, yeah, so I tend to tie it in with my purpose. When they say that some of the thing that was meant to kill you now becomes your purpose or your destiny in life. I guess that's what it is. There are many people
mm.
who suffer from addiction, but they can clean their lives up and then continue on doing other things. They don't have to become an NLP
Yes, yes.
practitioner.
Mm,
They don't have to become a counselor. They don't have to share their story like a Lunga, or they don't have to go and study things that can be better them and better others. They don't have to, because I see clients. I'm in the process of wanting to work in a space for a care facility. Because
mm,
my heart is there, so I'm following my heart. And as long as I don't pick up or use any of these drugs,
mm.
people have got, yeah. And there's a lot of people who
I
suffer.
like and yes, I like and I'm learning. Um, and part of me is probably thinking that even the viewers would agree with me that what is also coming out is that um, I've gone through this, and I might have my reasons. I and now it came at a point where you needed to be responsible and make decisions. And like you're saying, you could have made a decision that I was just having fun, I was being young, and want to hide behind that. But you did say, I decided this is something that I need help with, and I am gonna run the journey. And for me, it's one thing that it's hitting home, because not only in the context of substance, but with us in life general, we may go through things, we may have taken other decisions that may not necessarily have been positive in terms of outlook. And it's always important to get to a point where one would become responsible enough and man up to say, I was in that path, but I can see now that it might not necessarily be the right path for me or the right decision, and just man up about it. So I like that your journey is equally not only saying just substance, but how we can learn from it in terms of how we approach life in general. So thanks for that. Now let's also share Um, I appreciated the fact that you were also reflecting on at the time where you got to be so exposed and ended up being so highly involved with substance. And you say, I was young, youthful years, teenage years, and this is what we sometimes know at the time that people want to have fun. Now, I want us to be able to talk to the teenagers, youth, and adolescent that is now in the program, watching and listening to you. But secondly, to the parent that is raising that teenager. Just a few things that you would say, these should be red flags and remind you that this is no longer fun. Kuyeyela ngoku, and please put a break. If just a few things that you think, we can be able to. I know theoretically, and mhlambe esikolweni they would tell us, people will go out of their way. Sometimes they would steal to make sure that they feed the addiction and stuff. But I just wanted, from the point of having been through, but also you said you are seeing clients, so just to see how we can empower and share with people that these are the issues that they should be on high alert on. As much as you want to say the youth and teenagers are having fun, but there's this gray line or gray area to say, now it's no longer fun. Please don't. I know we spoke a lot last week about actually we are condemning any underage drinking as a bottom line. And Dr. B talks, that's what we are also emphasizing that term. For us, actually, any underage drinking and indulgence in substance, it's just something that we condemn.
Yes. I struggle with this one mainly because like I feel like we adults always like talking at teenagers. You know,
Okay.
we like talking at them and talk.
Mm.
We don't we don't have a conversation with them.
Okay.
We don't approach them with respect. I now realize that you are a grown adult and you are making your own decisions and you want to have your own experience in life. So we end up coming to them in a conversation fearful and very instructive and dismissive. So then
Mm.
we never get
Mm.
to them because now already, sesibhalile phansi ukuthi local thina sithi 0%. You know, I'm not saying that adults and parents are wrong by doing that. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in the manner in which we approach a conversation with teenagers, we're not gonna win because you're talking at them. You are addressing
Mm.
like you. And also again, it's a conversation that's coming from fear versus a conversation that's coming from understanding. Let's have a conversation. We somehow magically forget that Nati, we were 15, 16. Nati, we
Mm.
wanted to go and take that sip of a beer or whatever. Nati, we wanted to go and smoke that or be there or do this and do that. Some of us even tried. Other parents have
Mm.
done even worse. But we
Mm.
we
Mm.
clothe ourselves in a spirit of being holier than thou. Thus, we now miss the conversation. How can we have a conversation if we're not both on the same platform? This is me answering the question of what do we say
Yeah.
to the youth.
Mm. Mm. No, I
I'm
think
gonna go.
I
I'm
think
gonna go
as
back to
much as you, yeah, as much as you started by saying this one, it's a tricky and you don't know how to approach it, but that summary on its own, I want to applaud you because it's a serious take-home message for us
Mm,
that we must understand that what is needed is a conversation, and and the platform should be such that it creates a conversation, it
yeah.
allows for a conversation, it invites for a conversation, and I think that's one thing that we would take home,
Yeah.
and run with it, and run with it, that let's invite our kids, let's
Mm,
create the environment, let's
yeah.
initiate
Yeah.
conversations.
And also,
Yeah.
Dr. B, to add on to that, before we even get there, as parents or these people or organizations or whatever wanting to have this conversation with kids and programs, must first start by saying we don't know. Like asazi ukuthi yini that's going through their minds. We don't know what they're thinking and feeling. We don't. Why do we
Mm,
now have this
mm,
superpower to say we have an idea? No, we don't. We see problems. Yes. We see a result of something. But what has happened between the stage of getting to here, the problem, which is the high drinking, the high usage of alcohol and sex, the high depression and anxiety and other things. Sifika kanjani la? Now let's go backward. Now it's going to be a very painful journey. Now our parents, we all say we want to talk to our teenagers, but do you really want to sit and hear them answer you, or you are just
Hey.
wishing for a solution? No, because I mean, because there's another thing I've seen with teenagers, right? They want to be honest, but you guys or we guys, once they give us the honesty, hey, right now, uthini ungazongidika uthetha ngani, or or what, or then the communication is done. Because, because mind you, let's be fair. To some, why are we here? We all contributed to why we are here. I'm talking about substance abuse and other things and so on and so forth and so forth. Because once you remove the drug, you remove the alcohol, you remove the sexual behaviors, you remove the depression, you remove anything that's outside of you, you remove it, you are left with the source. I feel neglected, I feel not seen, not loved. I feel this and this and that and this and that. Kukanjena, kanjena, 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 kanje. Other things are just nonsensical behavior. I just needed a parent to just sit and be firm with the child. But it was not there. So now when you say, let's have a solution, be ready to hear and be told that you are the problem or you caused this. Once you've heard that, now it's important now again for you not to be defensive and feel attacked, but now take that in stride because you are the adult. And then you help navigate the conversation. This is why people like yourself, Dr. B, and myself and Tabiso exist in NLP, and we guide people and parents, because your question was speak to the parents and speak to the kids. What warning signs? We all want to see the warning signs. Oh, I don't know if my child is on drugs. How do I know? No, 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 no. How often do you talk to your child? How are you talking to your child? I'm not perfect, Dr. B. I've got two teenage kids. So it's, how do we do it? This is where now, that's why I've intentionally shifted and pivoted this question or this conversation to move away from nitpicking at what's the medical term, symptoms and other things and other things, and start pointing fingers. No, no, no. Let's pause. Let's see me. Stop the bus. Let's take a look at the mirror. Who am I? What am I trying to achieve? Who am I talking to? Okay, I'm talking to my child. Okay. Sometimes we don't even know how to talk to our kids because we first have to get past our own emotional things that are blocking us from talking to a child. If I have never had a father to talk to me at a particular age about something, go to my guy,
when you mention this thing of us also having to deal with our innate things, there is this, I'm not sure whether it's a challenge because I've seen it on two different families now, but it's on buzz at the social media, where there is this demonstration of showing the difference of growing up between the parent, especially it was along the lines of was along the lines of the men's health, because it was the fathers. I haven't seen the video with the mothers, but this one was with the fathers, and where they ask these questions and step forward and step forward, and that supports and illustrates exactly what your point you are raising, that even us as the elders and parents, we already have got that barrier we must get over before we even can be as effective as we want to be as parents and as guidance that we have. So I when you were expressing that, I had that video in mind to say, indeed, we the things that we're going through or we had gone through that we may be stumbling blocks in how we raise these issues, but we need to acknowledge that before we can then go out and also create this wall now that ends up coming up with the kids. Thank you very much. I see on yes, thank you very much for those that joined whilst we have started. I know that we are like so into the conversation. Thank you very much. This is Dr. V Talks, and we are here today discussing, empowering, and going through issues that relate to substance. And I see that Lobalo was also greeting us and saying, "Good evening, doctor," as well as the visitor and the viewers. And I also see now there is a comment from Pete. He is saying that drugs are affecting our communities. Many young people lost their lives, their futures due to this. And I also, it's in line with what Malina has also said, whereby she says substance abuse is a silent killer. And that's what we are here to try and change or try and empower each other on. I see here, before I get back to you, Lunga, and there is also a comment from Laboni. For you to get to the level where you were like you now, I am in a beach, or I am really going in a wrong path. Let me look for help and let me see help, and to be in the person who's bold to talk about it in terms of when you introduce yourself. I think a bit the best thing for me, I take it now. And I take it from a profession of you, and I know that the kuyakhula or kukhula oku. So I think thank you very much, Lebone, Justin. Basically, it's acknowledging that we need to hear this from you guys. By you guys, I'm saying people that have walked the journey, and people that can come and empower and remind us that one, we are not alone, but two, other people have walked the path. So don't be so scared to say, I'm going to pause, I'm going to change. And obviously, we know when it comes to issues of substance, especially your alcohol in the main, it always seems that it's a hype, it's a cool thing. You're surrounded by friends, and people always fear that, hey, if I stop now, will I always get that call to say we're chilling here? Or will people come when I say, can we watch football at my place? But they know that I'm no longer drinking. So we always have got those issues that we take it as a hype, we take it as a something, and people fear that, hey, if I step aside, there'll be that isolation, for the lack of a better word. So maybe you can just comment as well on a few that the comments that you were reading. Thank you very much.
Yes, yeah, no, thanks to the guys who've popped in messages and so on. Yeah, the first one is yes, drugs and alcohol literally is a silent killer. It really is. I agree. One of the comments came through like that, and the other person said it's killing a lot of our youth in the future. Yes, it does, because I think if you break it down to these things, understand, having information is important. So if you break it down, like alcohol and stuff, what does it do to your body? Before I get to that, just yesterday I was watching on TV some of these shows that they show, and they mentioned back in the day, alcohol was prohibition on alcohol in the US, meaning that alcohol was like cocaine or any hard drugs was illegal. If you're caught with a pint of alcohol or whatever, or a liter, you'd be arrested because it was illegal. And I sat down and asked myself, why was this thing illegal? And now, why is it legal now? You know? What did it do for it to be illegal? My mind was just kind of going to this. And then alcohol carries certain things in it that change your body chemically. And use of that over time and lots of quantity of it, it damages your body physically, but also there's a lot of damage that happens that becomes emotional and spiritual and so on. It messes up a lot of things. There are times where you drink so much you start operating in a blackout phase, where you wake up in the morning, they tell you the things you've done, you remember nothing. It's called blackout drinking and so on. Why do people drink to that level, to that extent? To say right, why did they stop? Is because they have the inability, once the alcohol cuts into their body, like an allergy, they have the inability to stop once they've started. Now that means that's a problem. It's a disease now. What has triggered that? Others are wanting to suppress things. You like earlier on, you mentioned things like, what if I stop drinking? That means I have no friends. That speaks to some kind of insecurity or some kind of need or validation that you need. Alcohol gives you that. Because the more you drink, is the more that feeling of wanting that goes away. And when that feeling goes away, now you feel like, oh, I'm free. Then I need more of. Wake up in the morning, babalas. Okay, now maybe let me roll a joint and let me get some weed. Now you add another chemical. Then you say, hey, but I'm feeling sleepy. Let me get cocaine because should give me. I'll be high. I'll be high. Hey, but now I'm too high. Let me get something to mellow me. Now you're mixing things, and then you're like, oh, I'm feeling lonely and scared. And then you call a woman, or for a woman you call a man, and then now there's sex involved. Now there's other things involved. These things now accumulate. Oh, by the time you realize what's going on, you've got no money left because all these things needed money. Now, stew, Lena, you've been cooking because you wanted to avoid either dealing with an issue or facing with something. It creates bigger issues. So, Dr. B, when you said fears of losing out on friends, connections, and networks and relevance is a real thing. And you mentioned something earlier on about accountability. It's very key with Ibecon because without it, we're going to continue losing the youth yet. And as adults, before we can start jumping on a high horse and coming down, hey, you youth must stop, you must do this. We need to create we need to create that platform. Platform doesn't have to be this. We don't have to have wide TV programs. What are you saying to your child at home? What are you saying to the child? Umanaye espaza. Ayisekho indlela yobuntu anymore. Kwabona masikhula thina besazi ukuthi when you go to a shop and there's an elder in behind you or ugogo ufuna ukuthenga, as a child you step aside ugogo athenge. Like it's some, and then uhloniphe umuntu omdala umalume, and then are we engaging? Like what are we really doing? And also another thing is we can't blame too much of the youth because they say that indlela ibuzwa kwabaphambili angithi. What are we showing them? We are having this conversation right now, the two of us. I'm not sure how many people are watching or listening, right? But on Friday, we can be in a place where there's 1,000 of us and we're all listening to a particular song and got our hands in the air. I'm drinking at that time. You could be drinking at that time, but you've not. There's no fine print to say, you see me having this beer now in a concert, but you don't know what this is my second and last beer because I have to drive. I'm done. They don't know that. They don't know that the woman you're with next to you, to them in their mind, hey, this lady queen, this guy's got this, and I must get this. There's no context of teaching. We're allowing social media and TV and other things. What's the hottest show right now? What's the hottest thing on TV right now? The most talked about thing that's trending right now in South Africa TV. What's in that context of everything? So we have allowed our kids to police themselves. And if they police themselves and then they do what they think is right, and then we come and say you are wrong, since that's when there's a conflict. How come you want me to you don't listen to me? So that's the fight we have. Parents and adults and youth. You want us to listen to you, but you don't listen to us.
All right. Please continue to drop them comments, share your experiences, also share your insights on the topic of today, because we're all here as a family and we are here to learn and empower each other. But you said earlier on that we need to be able to trace the steps back before we deal with this. And when you were making those examples of what if I'm indulging because of I need some validation, and now my mind was like, this is exactly what you were saying. The conversations that should be 1, regular, 2, open and transparent, but 3, should be non-judgmental. And because in that conversation, I would have been able to share that, hey, you know what, Daddy, I feel like I'm not getting the same reaction or reception than my peer John at school is getting, and it bothers me. So you start seeing and having an understanding that in actual fact, there is something that is affecting my child's confidence. There is something that is now becoming to creep in as a cry for validation, and then you start taking your child through that. And instead of us waiting until we come after. The second thing that I'm noticing and maybe noted in your conversation is the last one, where you are saying we unfortunately have to be accepting that we have also created a space where our youth ends up having to police. And maybe you were being polite. Someone else will say, no, guys, say it as it is. They are raising themselves.
Yeah.
Because that's what is actually now coming out to say, if there is no one else or there is no platform, I'll just fend my way. I'll just see.
Exactly.
It will be pay as you go and see and stuff like that. So I accept and I think it's something that I'm noting as well that we're picking up from the conversation. The other issue, of course, is where you made mention of how critical are we with understanding or teasing out the context of what is exposed to our kids and our youth. And I think you were making an example of saying if they see a snip of something, if there is no platform, no conversations about that, it leaves to them to say, that's the life I want to live. That's a fancy life I want. That's a cool life I want. And whereas we should be actually saying that, please understand, this is also acting. This is also something that is dramatized. It doesn't mean this or whatever. But we don't have those conversations, and we're allowing them to then make answers of their own things that they see and that's imaged in them. So thank you very much. Before I just want to check if we don't have any other comments that have popped up before we go to give Lunga another chance and another bite. I know that we also want to get to a point where we are going to also see as well that now that we are aware that we are in the International Drug and Substance Abuse Day, which is the 26th, how also do we make sure that we empower people to say, you might be in a corner alone, but this is how we think you can try and find a way of getting out of that corner. I see that, okay, there's only hearts and claps for now. So maybe I'll give over to you, Lungas, and then we'll come back to the comments as they pop up.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes, we're still here. Thank you.
Okay. Sure. You say quite a bit. Now I'm not sure where to pick up from. So, I guess maybe coming from the space of saying, Bariking this month, International Day for Substance Abuse and so on.
Yes.
I think the key thing for parents, right? I've said this to other parents too who've had issues or challenges with their kids who are visibly are in substance. Is that one is not don't blame yourself.
Yes.
It's normal to start doing that. It's normal. It's human instinct because you somehow feel that you should be perfect and get it right. Nah, don't do that. Do that to yourself. No one is perfect. No one gets this thing right. That's number one. Number two, ask a lot of questions. Try and speak with your child. The more you ask questions, if you are born with you getting more upset and you don't know what to say to this child and you help, try your level best to just ask questions. Ask questions, don't judge. Just keep asking questions. That way they feel like you want to know. Don't comment after they've answered the question. Let them answer the question the way they want to. Let them finish, whether you understand the answer or not. As you talk to them, you also try and calm yourself. There's or something we call in NLP a state of congruency, or a state of maintaining your peace of mind. When you go speak to your kid, before you go and speak to your child, you try and calm yourself first. You find your own center. The most important thing, if you've caught your child with alcohol or drugs or anything on that particular day, don't need to address them. Just get them to a safe place, where we're sharp, where we're safe, and then you'll address the issue when they're safe and they're calm and you are calm, and then you'll be able to get more information. Those are critical times. You can get a lot of info at that time, but you could also shatter and destroy everything if you come in very hard and you want to put the authority and ushai and annan, every parent decides corporal punishment or what. It's up to you, the person, what you want to do. But my advice is try and ask more questions, as more questions as possible. Try and have a third party involved. Third party can be your spirit connected to God, a higher power, or a life coach, or a professional like Dr. B. So get those things sorted out, because one, this thing tests you as a parent. It stretches you because it checks in with you too. Is there something that I didn't check on myself that I've maybe put into my child? Why I saw, because I take him to this good school, I do this, I do that. The toilet is a simple thing, but you won't know if you attend to this thing in fear, in anger, in judging, in wanting your way, the authority. Because what makes you think your way is right? Are we not in this mess because you think your way went wrong? So
Clavi, is this my way of yours that got us here?
hey, maybe you're, so be fair to yourself. No one is perfect. Like, nobody's perfect, man. And the most important thing, there is help out there. Like, I think in the last I remember when I started my campaign around gender-based violence and substance abuse and all this. It was, I remember when Tavis was talking. Yeah, it was 2015. When I started to talk in PE. I remember I was in PE. I was at the radio station there. I was talking about this, what we're talking about now, and I was cycling. There was very little help. There was very little information, very little things like this. So we're in a better place now. There's help. Do not take it lightly. The last thing about this is that with alcohol, it becomes even more tricky, because alcohol is a social thing. Even the president will have a champagne, a toast, a lapayana, and we all know this. Like it's socially accepted. And then you think to yourself, but why is that a problem if Otabo can do it and not have issues? It's very individual, this thing. It's like Tabo can have diabetes, I won't have diabetes. It's a very individualistic thing. So I think if we can all agree, I think the best place to start from helping people or helping each other, Dr. B, is if singazwana wuti alcoholism, alcoholism, substance abuse, anything, is an illness. If we can all leave from there, city, it's an illness. Umuntu mayegula kwenzenjani? Uya kuphi? Uya doctor or whatever. And then what happens? There's medication. There's a tough step one can walk through. They help a person like myself who then becomes an addiction counselor and helps other people. There are places you can go to as a parent. I don't know what to do. There are places you can Google. You can join Dr. B. You have information. So essentially, what I'm saying is there is no more need for people to continue dying, and the kids lose their mind. In conclusion, I was in one of these rehabs recently, because I go to some of the rehabs every now and then. I saw a 15-year-old boy, Dr. B, 15-year-old boy in there, saying that his third rehab. Now you can try and imagine what those parents are going through, trying to save their child. That child, that boy was not ready yet. Like I could, I've got my own things, but I'm talking. I can see it's gonna take a bit of time, but he's got the support structure. But to him, he still feels I can still have more fun with this thing. It's very sad to see. However, another thing that people must not also understand, I'm not bashing alcohol and other things. I mean, these things on their own are innate, not bad. it's the usage or the user of
Yes,
these
of
things.
course, of course,
Yeah.
of course,
So people
of
mustn't
course.
get me wrong now. And it's because there are people who can have a beer and be okay and have whiskey, babe shapo and all those things. There's Jaman, there's a whole faith around marijuana. And then there are others who smoke and then psychosis and then the
Yeah,
person
kicks in.
exactly. So so there's different types of things. I know the youth look at Tony Montana, he's a gangster in these movies and whatever. He smokes cocaine and he killed and he's got money. They think, So I feel the important thing is because somebody's at youth, right? The guys that we want to hear this information maybe won't listen to us or listen to the show. So how do we get that to them? It's how we carry ourselves as adults. As
Okay.
if it's back in the day, for you to see an elder woman smoking back in the day, it would be a miracle. But they would hide themselves. But feel you would know because why? Because Siriti.
It's tones.
That's all. When I'm translating too many languages in my head. Yeah. Let's read. So like there's that thing there was that type of thing. Then us too, my timer would do Momo Shayim Bomba or something. Because why? You were protecting the child from being exposed to certain things that they will not be able to understand at a particular age. Because they either don't have the emotional capacity or the intelligence to understand and grapple with it. But now we've got TikTok where I can shoot a video from my bathroom and show whatever I want to show. Now there's no filters. These kids are now exposed to these things. Now we have a problem. They've got access. Back then, to get a drug dealer, you had to know 10 people before you get to it. Now, around the corner. Now it's on. They deliver to you now. So when
And I
parents say,
think for me, just without interrupting, I think for me, linking to the earlier message of because I think it has been coming through consistently in how you have approached the conversation today. That let's create a platform. Let's talk. Because I'm also taking into account that the overexposure that is there now. If we don't create these conversations and platforms, now we're leaving it to chance as to how much influence it's going to have. You might be like your child might look and say, I want to look the other way. I don't want to be like them. But there is also a risk that your child will say, is this how they do it? How can I start? And you put it nicely, you say there is no filtering. Izinto ziyazenzekela nje kuyahamba kuyaqhubeka. So I and as you were saying, we are not in any way here to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly of a well-consumed substance, especially when it comes to alcohol. Maybe the other substance we know, but we just we say no. There is no good and bad, but what is also out there. But in terms of the alcohol consumption, we're saying if we're not creating these conversations, if we're not there, the only thing that our youth will be exposed to is the levels of consumption that they are seeing that are related or linked to some type of image, some type of lifestyle, and they may think that is all there is to it. But the conversation will help and say, in actual fact, you can still have a bottle of whatever and it can stay for a month or two. It doesn't mean it must be downed now within 30 minutes and still order and order and order. So the conversation part, I think, it's what we need to be mindful of as the viewers, that no one is going to come and say, we are stopping adverts of this thing. No one is going to come and say social media is banned. It's not going to have these things. And no one is going to come and say kids and the youth is not going to be exposed to these things. Unfortunately, the reality is that there is that exposure. But the chance that we have, as you have put it, is for us now to say, how can we create the conversations that we can now try and protect, yes, that's the word you used earlier on, to protect our youth from these risks and these dangers of whatever they are exposed to. So I just wanted to remind our viewers in terms of your consistency as well in your messaging, that the main thing for us to be able to win the battle, if I can call it that, is if we can be intentional and focus in improving and changing and using platforms differently, especially where there is an opportunity for conversations. Um, we are now exactly left with 10 minutes for the show. Let me see if, yes, I was going to ask if we can just have some comments. And there is a cry out and a request from Dumi to say that the conversation has made him realize that he may need help. Dumi, thank you very much. We will keep in touch with you as Dr. B talks, and we'll definitely link you up with Lunga. At the end of the show, we will be sharing how we can make use of his services, but also we are going to work with him to just have a profile that we are going to post on Dr. B Talks to see how we can be of assistance and accessible to us. Thank you very much, Tumi. And actually, thank you. And thank you. Because most often than not, we may have people and audience that may end up saying, I'm not going to tell, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to expose. And
Yeah.
I think we are very much grateful to thank you very much.
Yeah, no,
Thank
that's I agree with you, Dr. B. That's bravery. To me. You're not alone, brother. Like our friend out tech.
yeah,
So
no,
yeah,
yes, no,
it is.
we'll definitely keep in touch with you, and thank you. Yes.
Mm.
There is also a comment from Gomba Kani. The question is, or the comment reads as follows, or maybe you can go through it from your side.
Sure, I can.
Yeah, please.
Evening, Dr. B. My question is: parents today more focused on controlling their teens or actually understanding them? I think, I mean, that's a very good question because that's something that we touched on a bit earlier. I would agree with Gani. I agree with Gani mainly because I, as a parent, was guilty of this very
Mm,
same thing. Because the control, it's not a bad thing. It comes out of love, Buffett, and out of
mm,
fear.
mm, mm,
Especially as a parent, if we are born now, what Inganyako is going a particular direction, you're like, I've been there. That route you're going, there's a pothole there at the end. So come this way. Now, sometimes instead of tapping nicely at the back, say, hey, watch. We grab them, we move them away from that, because of fear.
mm.
So, running teenagers also be kind to parents, man. When they come to you, no, yes, when they come to you, understand who they are. Sure, hey, yeah, but it's from love, one. It's coming from fear. It's coming from
Mm,
fear and love when they want to control. Remember, control is also an illusion. We know as parents we don't have control, but we exert it by raising our voice and threatening money and threatening other things because we know we don't have the power, but we pray to
mm,
God that we can steer you in a particular direction. This comment, Yakanye, I think, could be a good catalyst, Dr. B, to assist in cultivating a conversation between the two parties, the
mm,
grown-ups and
mm,
the teens. If we're in war and we come to negotiate a peace treaty, this can help because now we say, okay, you you blame us for controlling. We blame you for not listening. You blame no, 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 no. Okay, sharp. We understand. But why are you saying this? Mom, Dad, I need you to know uh trust me.
mm.
I
I
need you to
might have
trust.
been there with, I might have gone out with them, but I
Hey,
know how you want to raise me. And if only you trusted me that and asked me, did you also participate or not? Because now
and
we come back tonight and we say, yeah, we were told you guys after school you went there, you were drinking. And the poor child was there because he's with his friends. But what
and
he
then
kept on knowing is that I'm raised like this at home. I am still not at the age for drinking.
I think the child, what the child does when they're that side of then they drink because of spite, because the child mind is not developed yet. They think that
mm,
let me smoke a cigarette because mama no tata bandina. They feel that when they're doing that, they're hurting you, but they're hurting themselves. So
mm,
help with that undeveloped mind yet
mm,
by
mm.
giving them that trust. I know if we don't have much time, but I think that's the most powerful thing. Thank you for the listener who commented saying
Yeah,
that.
thanks. I see that Luwawalo has also posed, and I think it's a similar thing in terms of the contrasting now. And he's saying, I have a question. Do we have respect towards alcohol, or is alcohol controlling us? For an example, what I learned when our people are drinking indoors, there is control. But when they are drinking outdoors, there is another story altogether.
I able to please explain. It's a good comment. It's explained brief. Kanji, faith is tandukbona as human beings. When you, it's like that's why we say it's not just that alcohol does not just affect you physically and financially, but also spiritually. And
Mm,
something gets activated inside of you. Mawubona abanye abantu niphuza kunaleyo energy is transferred and the excitement iba lapho, and now you want to be
mm,
seen as, hey, I'm here, guys, I'm here, let's go, let's do this, and there's more and more, and it does that. The excitement, you feel a certain godlike complex
mm,
that you can do anything. That's why when you're driving, manje, I'm gonna get there in 3 minutes, or le cheating's Zoilanda manje. But you got Russian courage. I get to say you got Russian courage now because you've had a drink. There's
mm,
another one. In conclusion, maybe there's another one that we don't really talk about. Another fear for other people to leave substance and alcohol, that they're afraid that their performance in you know and as a sexual performance will be affected because you perform at a higher rate when you're under the influence. So when you're
mm,
no longer, so you see changes chemically. So people attach so much to life, to this thing, because
mm, mm, mm,
like your mind will remember what, hey, when I had a drink, or I had a smoke, I closed that deal, or hey, when I had this Susan Gambamba. So let
mm.
me let me go back there. Let me
Not
go
you,
back.
Susan, not the platform, by the way. If you are here,
Oh,
we're not
yes,
talking
Susan.
about you.
No, no, it's an example. It's an example. But I think that
Yes.
Dr. B, in all, in conclusion, I would say, right, guys, let's try not to be too hard on ourselves and too hard on each other. You may not
Yeah.
understand the next person's reasons or journey of why they're doing what they're doing or how they got to where they got to. If you
Mm.
can be kind to yourself and the next person.
The comment you've made of some association of our substance use to certain pleasures of life, it also makes me remind the viewers that when we said let's create a conversation, it's not only restricted to a generational conversation, adult and the youth. Even now, as adults, in our own relations, we need to be able to have these conversations. There was the same example you made for me of sexual performance, for instance. It's a conversation between these two adults that needs to take place. Because equally so, on one side, you might think, yes, because of this effect, you would think you are. And the opposite can happen, that the partner does not even appreciate that, because one,
Yeah.
even the smell of that alcohol, the smell of that drug, the smell of that smoke, maybe it's already not what they were hoping for when they were excitedly looking forward to spend some time with you. So, and now when now you think on one hand, you're like, no, I can't stop, because only to find that it could be turning out for the best, because now she would know, or he would know, that there's no longer going to be that smell and whatever, and I'm going to enjoy your company more. So the conversations, we're not saying should be restricted or should be intergenerational, but whenever we are having a person we care about participating or indulging in any substance, the best way, and I think the take home for the session today, is find a welcoming, inviting, appropriate platform for a conversation. Let's give space for those people to be able to say, in actual fact, this is how this thing started. In actual fact, this is how I feel when I'm indulging. In actual fact, these are my fears should I not indulge. In actual fact, others might even tell you that, in actual fact, I wish I can end and stop this thing today and be this type of a person. So you might even get a chance to understand what their vision are, what they're hoping for, and you can, through the conversation, be able to help them. And I think you also said, as we're going to conclude, that we must also be mindful that the things we want to change, we don't always have the absolute control and power over them. So in whatever efforts we're making, we must always put at the center that it's a question of how do we convince or how do we make that person also want the same outcome. Otherwise, the more we bombard, we point, we say, the more it might not be effective. Lungas, I know that Bugewachoba, you are summarizing in conclusion, but I'd just like to give you a chance to just say a few words, but also use this opportunity to also express and share with our viewers in terms of how they can access or how they can make use of your services, because that is another thing that we are doing at Dr. B Talks. As we create conversations, we are also bringing networks, we are also creating this safe environment for our viewers so that people can be able to make access of what and the people that we have brought to the platform. So just say your closing remarks as well as just express in terms of your availability and accessibility as well.
All right, awesome. Thank you, Dr. B, for this conversation and this opportunity also just to kind of unpack substance abuse. Looking at the title, it says prevention, support, and recovery. That's the topic for today. In conclusion, from me on my side, is that prevention. I think that's what we've been unpacking. That's my departure point. It comes from there. How do we prevent? A simple thing. What Dr. B said. When you can see a friend overindulging, put them to the side and just let them know, my man, are you okay? Sometimes just that is enough to assist someone to open up before it gets to the abuse side of things. Support, there's support out there, like I mentioned, and how people can reach me. Dr. B, I'm going to ask that they kind of communicate with you for now, because as I'm just building up my platforms, I have taken a back seat from social media. I've just been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. But with our conversation now, I think I'm going to start slowly but surely reintegrating myself back into society in that platform. So there's a question coming in now. Let's see, Lunga, what do you think needs to change first? The way you speak to parents or the way parents treat youth, and why? Okay, this one I can't answer real quick because there's no time. But I say, man, the first place to start is where you are. This question is a good place to start. The only doctors know solutions by asking questions. That's why when we see a doctor, what's wrong? What does it hurt? What does it hurt? Questions open up conversations and opens us up. If we can, as adults and youth, have this conversation, us to both of us in the room together, we'll come out of there with an answer. But quickly, why do youth have a respect? It's because of how we show them who we are, so they treat us in that way. Because we have anyway, I'm gonna take too much time unpacking it.
No, I think my viewers, one thing that we are comfortable with in this platform as a family is that we do take note of, like you said, sometimes a conversation stimulates another conversation. And yes, Lunga, we may come back to you to just take us through in terms of this, how to create a conducive environment for a parent-child relationship kind of space and conversations. So I think, Kami, we would also want to keep this question and we would start our conversation around that when we come back. In terms of that conversation, so I know you would love to dwell much into it and share, because you have hinted that even on the earlier one when you were answering to say we this is stimulating a conversation that we should come back and have. And thank you for that. That's how we work here on Dr. B Talk. So we would be noting and make sure that we create that platform and have you back for that as well. So thank you very much. We will be doing some profile that we will post on Dr. B's talks that will talk to what services Lunga is offering and how we can access. And then we would also, especially, we would definitely keep in touch with Tumi that
Yes.
had commented earlier on. So that one will definitely off air. Make sure that we run with it immediately. So it is now exactly 5 minutes past our hour mark. And let me take this opportunity to thank you, Lunga. Thank you and thank you and thank you so much, my brother. It has been a very insightful conversation. And I think for us, you even took us completely out of the script in a very positive way. That we don't come and list. We don't come and list the A's, the B's, the C's. But you have empowered us to say, if we are to forget anything else that happened for this hour, one thing that is going to help all of us is to go back and create conversations. That is the main thing. And it's going to help us to support those that need to get out of the abuse and the addiction. It's going to help us to prevent those that were almost on the verge of getting there. It's going to help us to make sure that we empower and share with as many people. So I'm just happy and I'm delighted. And also I see Lubabalo Nocho is also saying thanks, Doctor and Lungas. So thank you very much. And I usually like, my viewers like showing the thumbs up and also showing the hearts to also share the appreciation that I also share in terms of your contributions toward the show today. So thank you very much for making time. Thank you very much for how you have presented the conversation and how you had empowered us as Dr. B Talks family, as well as the support and the family of Sowetan Live. So thank you very much for that. And we're going to continue where we left off in terms of the second part of the conversation, where you would help us to manage these issues of the intergenerational relations and to create these platforms of conversations that you've spoken about. And that brings us to the end of the session for today. It has been an exciting session. As always, I'm yours truly, Dr. Luvuyo Paeni, the host for Dr. B Talks. Thank you very much to Sowetan for simulcast broadcasting. And thank you to all the viewers for always tuning in and following us. And continue to share with as many people as wide as you can. Ask them to follow Dr. B Talks Facebook page, as well as the YouTube channel, as well as Sowetan, our simulcast broadcasting partner. And thank you very much. We have now concluded on a very high note the Youth Month, and it has been 30 years, 50 years that were celebrated when it comes to the 1976 generation. But importantly, we are saying the same way the youth had issues they were dealing with, let's wake up and understand that even the youth of today have got issues that they are dealing with. And ours is to make sure that we create platforms, we create opportunities, and we avail ourselves to talk to them and make sure that at least they are able to hear that we love them. They are able to see that we care about them. Thank you very much. That's it for tonight. And we're going to meet same time, same place. Tomorrow we'll be issuing our theme and as well as the schedule for the month of July. So stay tuned and continue to support Dr. B Live. Thank you very much. And that's it for the evening. Let's all go and support Bafana Bafana at exactly 2100. It is not only for the 23 players that are there, but it is for the entire nation. We need some excitement in our lives. We need something that unifies us as a country, and Bafana Bafana may be just that. Thank you very much. That's it for tonight, and good night.